Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, this is 1983's Nasty Nurses. Let's get just to the poster of this 1983's Nasty Nurses. And this is part of Vinegar Syndrome's Peakorama Big 2-Unit show with Let's Talk About Sex, which I've already looked at on this YouTube page. And these are both directed by the director Paul Vitelli, and we're looking at Nasty Nurses tonight. And yes, this girl is actually in the movie, in a big role here. And so is this girl from Let's Talk About Sex as well. This is their Peakorama Big 2-Unit show, widescreen, from the negatives right here, I believe. Yes, unbelievable. 35mm negatives. They got a double feature show. And here are some screenshots from Nasty Nurses right there. And that's what we're looking at tonight. So let's get into Nasty Nurses. On the front here, it says, they treat their patients to a healthy dose of sexual delights. And this stars Kay Parker, Herschel Savage, Janae Robbins, sorry, I already said that. John Holmes, I think I already said that too. This is Nasty Nurses, rated X, directed by Paul Vitelli. We're going to get into this film here, folks, and I got to tell you, this film is a lot more than what that poster would imply to the typical X-rated crowd, and a lot more in general than what you think this movie is about to the typical just exploitation crowd or X-rated crowd. Let's get into Nasty Nurses from 1983. This is really has a wondrous 80s feel to this film, and this is early 80s. And we are really filming doctors, nurses in a hospital, the stories, the drama. I'm going to get into it in my own crazy schizophrenic type of way. So let's get into it. I have some notes written here, so you might see my eyes divert. Let's get into Nasty Nurses 1983. And this is put out by Vinegar Syndrome here. We start off this film, and I got to say, we started off with some amazing 80s synth. Oh my gosh, is the 80s synth in here unbelievable. It's emotional, it's invigorating, it's dramatic. The Nasty Nurses title card in the movie is amazing because it's linked to a hospital sign, and the way that it's linked to the hospital sign is very creative with a red arrow. The way hospital signs outside in the parking lot of the hospital will have arrows next to each location to go to on the map. The score, this amazing synth and 80s and much, much more, was done by, again, Platinum Black, who supposedly did Let's Talk Sex as well. And the interesting thing is I don't really know who this band or person is, but they're amazing. Okay, that's what I will say. If you like synth music, electronic music, and 80s at that, Platinum Black is definitely top of the game here, and you're going to love the music in this film. We got a lot of dirty talk in this movie, a lot of sexy, dirty talk. If you like dirty talk, this Nasty Nurses has it. And this movie starts off like a regular movie. The opening credits, you'd never know this was an X-rated film. You would think that this was maybe some city exploitation late-night movie. The first scene... The first scene of the movie is a sex scene, and there's light through the window, shadows, moonlight, and it tends to be a theme in the cinematography of this whole film, Nasty Nurses. And actually, when I look at the other film by Paul Vitelli on this double feature, Let's Talk Sex, which I already looked at on this YouTube page, you'll see that there's similar themes with the lighting and shadows. Not themes, but methods. We have kind of timeless fades with the sex scenes in this film, where you don't really see people getting into the next position. You just see them in the next position, and it kind of cuts like that, if you catch my drift. I call it timeless cuts, timeless edits, where it's not so much like the camera's there and you're getting like a documentary sex scene where you're getting all the ins and outs and how they get to each position. It's cutting to different positions artistically. We have lots of anal in this film, and actually the first sex scene of the film has probably one of the best anal scenes I've ever seen, or up there, definitely, I guess. The anal in this film even includes some very large penises. John Holmes does an anal scene in this film. Now, As I say that with anal and everything else, you're not getting like these gaping hole type views in this film. No, you're not seeing the after effects. No, you're just seeing, it going in and when it's in there, if you catch my drift. You're not seeing kind of the more modern thing of seeing the penis come out and what it looks like afterwards, if you catch my drift. And the first sex scene actually has, I believe, the girl that's on the cover the girl that's on the cover of the poster right there. She's in it with Herschel Savage. 80s synth, late night city, almost TV show, and also some synth piano as well. We also have that same bedroom where the moonlight was coming into the window, but now it's sunlight in the same room from the first sex scene, and kind of a shadow and through the blinds. It's just lit very interestingly, quote unquote natural light maybe. The first sex scene of the movie leaves the viewer figuring out what is happening for the rest of the film. You are kind of coming up with your own definitions, you're coming up with your own conclusions, but then as the movie continues on, things get redefined for you and explained to you as they get redefined, and pieces start getting put together, even all the way near the end of the film. Pieces start getting put together. But the first sex scene, you're not really sure who these two people are. You're not really sure what their jobs are, how they know each other or anything. And then as the movie envelops, so it was a nice tactic, the way the movie starts like that. Herschel Savage is the lead doctor in this film. He's dramatic, stressed, tired, conflicted. Excellent, dramatic, angry, stressed acting from Herschel Savage in this film. And he's definitely one of my favorite male X-rated actors. Great hospital hallways, camera work, scrolling camera work, almost looks like steady cam work. We have nurse drama in here, relationships, career choices, uncertainty with the future, and finances. Yes, these are heavy-weighted themes in this particular film. We also spend some time in the nurse changing room, which is pretty awesome. If you like, if you have a fetish for nurses, you're gonna obviously love this. We have nurse gossip and backbiting in this film as well. The 80s synth music, by the way, in this film, almost sounds like Tangerine Dream mixed with instrumental 80s pop song, even hints of Giorgio Moroder. Yes, even hints of him. Just awesome stuff. We got a great scene with Becky Savage in this film, who was in such films like Starship Eros, which I looked at on this YouTube page already. And she's a nurse who's helping out her patient with a neck brace. And there's some humor there with his neck. She locks the door. It's a very hot scene. She's helping the patient and to a blowjob, since he can't move that well, and touching her butt, and she's touching herself, and he's touching her vagina, and so on and so forth. And she's in that nurse outfit. And I got to tell you, a big running sexual quality to Nasty Nurses is lingerie, just like Paul Vitelli's other film on this disc, Let's Talk Sex. So he definitely likes lingerie. We also have, and think about this, the nurses are wearing lingerie underneath of their nurse outfits. Garters, panties, lace, and it all looks great. Different colors. We have doctor training drama in this film, like Doogie Howser almost. And doctors are going around and training other doctors. 80s synth electric guitar too in this film, definitely. And there is definitely this kind of this nurse fantasy vibe in here as well. If you kind of have that is something definitely you're going to love about this film. I mean, watch out, we're going to get in trouble, you're going to get fired. The nurse shouldn't be doing this with their patient. There's lots of camera coverage in this film, overhead shots in particular, and exteriors of the hospital, and lots of different angles. We have hard drama in here and acting, notably in this diner scene with Herschel Savage and this other kind of representative of the hospital or of some sort. And you can see the boom mic when the woman's talking on the bottom right-hand side of the screen if you're watching in the wide, widescreen TV format, depending on your aspect ratio. And it's just like heavy duty drama. If you just watch that one scene at the diner, you'd never know this was an X-rated movie. We got some like rough people in the hospital coming in, as patients, pimps in the hospital with a hooker. We got a guy doing graffiti on the inside wall of the hospital. We even have, I believe, a famous actor, supposedly, coming in as a patient as well. And I got to tell you, once again, the nurse changing room. If you like nurses and you just, there's an awesome element of sexuality to the nurse changing room in here that you don't typically see in films, and notably with their lingerie as well. This one nurse says, "I don't like to be called sweetheart." Okay, sweetheart. So even though there is definitely a level of sexual freedom for these nurses and for the women in this film, but then they don't want to be called sweetheart, or this one does not want to be called sweetheart. So very, very interesting. We have a John Holmes playing Dr. Johnson, who's a proctologist, and he's with a kind of a young, innocent nurse, and there's great shots of her butt and panties. There's a zipper on her panties as well. And as I mentioned earlier, there's anal in this particular scene, as he's also a proctologist. But he's huge, and she is a very tiny girl, so it's a pretty wild, wild scene. The 80s synth in this, going back to the music, is hard-hitting. It's almost aerobics, 80s aerobics sounding at times. It's fast, it's powerful, it packs a punch, and it works really, really well with the scenes and the sex scenes in the movie. It also has an emotional depth to it as well. Definitely an emotional, you get a feeling, you get nostalgia, something. The story, as I mentioned earlier, the story uncovers as you learn of serious romantic, marriage, mistress, drama in this particular film. We also have, to go with that drama, 80s slow emotional piano synth as well. And this is, I kid you not when I say this. This has real drama. I keep saying drama. It's no joke. Nasty Nurses, a movie called Nasty Nurses, has real drama, and that's really in marriage, and it's really shown a lot in Kay Parker's character in this film. Really kind of, ultimatums given in marriage. And we have more kind of windows with lights coming through the windows. Look at the window lighting in this movie and the blinds of the windows and the light peeking through. Funky synth jazzy vibes also in this movie. We have a wild vodka mishap with a hospital IV. Yes. Kimberly Carson, if you know Kimberly Carson, I first kind of got to know her through Loose Times at Ridley High, which I've also looked at on this YouTube page. Did not even recognize her because of her freaking hair in Nasty Nurses. She looks awesome in here. I always think she looks awesome. She looks really great with this new hair as well. So be on the lookout for her. We have, we have two scenes cutting to each other simultaneously and very, very smoothly with ease. Two things happening simultaneously at the same time, and it's cutting back and forth with a great energy and elegance really to it. It look very professional and looks great. The song in the menu screen you will hear in the film, and it's probably my favorite piece of music in the whole film, because it's 80s synth electronic late night and it's emotional. It just sounds amazing. It almost reminds me a little bit of the music in Loose Times at Ridley High, now that I think about it, maybe. We have a scene where Becky Savage, makes a patient taste her on her fingers. And also a girl taking her panties and shoving them in a guy's mouth. We got that as well. We got butt shots and panties. Definitely in this film. Lots of butt shots and we even get, shots of panties going down the butt, from the butt, which is also in the film Let's Talk Sex as well. So something Paul Vitelli definitely likes is lingerie and seeing panties come down off the butt. We have real hospital hand washing before surgery in this film. I'd really like to kind of investigate this stuff and really look at it. Real hospital hand washing and real surgery problems. Surgical procedures and surgical problems. Really, really well done. High stress and decision making in this film. character says, this day is like a bad soap opera. That's what I believe Herschel Savage's character says in the film. We have death and love and the future, the uncertainty of the future. These are some themes in this film. It's mentioned in this film that male doctors cannot be alone with their lady patients, but the opposite is not true. A female doctor can be alone with her male patient, and then you see the consequences in this film. We have the patient realizing that he has past childhood memories with a nurse, with a doctor, I believe, actually. We have this great window lit scene once again, but this time coming from above a staircase near the end of the movie, and kind of from the top floor all the way down to the bottom floor on the ground. Looks amazing as the character looks up the steps. We have a theme in here of career versus commitment. Career versus commitment. The last sex scene of this movie has romance, reconnection, and intimacy. It's actually a very, very kind of romantic. Of course, we got the real wild, lusty, free-for-all sex scenes in this film, but then, like, reflecting the storyline of the film, we have a very dramatic and romantic and intense, loving, and still wild sex scene at the end of the movie. Romance, synth, and music that can all of a sudden start to escalate faster as well. And I got to tell you, Kay Parker is mostly known for her breasts. In her sex scene at the end of this movie, the romantic one, she has amazing butt shots in that sex scene. Something that I've never maybe noticed as much before, but definitely the filming is focusing on her butt as well, and it's amazing, and it looks amazing. All the shots look great in that. With there, and it's almost capitalizing more on her butt than her breasts, which is interesting. And we also almost have a main musical theme in this film. I believe there's like one theme that's repeated twice, maybe. And the movie ends on a very interesting note: love. Yes, love. Nasty Nurses is such a complex X-rated film. It's hot. It's heavy. If you love lingerie, obviously, if you love nurses, if you have fetishes with nurses or hospitals or things like that, if you're staying up, if you get laid up in the hospital, this might be a good movie to bring along to keep your spirits up. But interestingly enough, all that said, this is a very complicated movie dealing with very, very deep, hard-hitting drama as well. And this day is like a really bad soap opera, as the one character said. Wow. Yeah, there's some stress in here. And this Nasty Nurses. Like Let's Talk Sex, watch the closing credits of the movie for some of the most insane aliases I've ever seen in movie credits before. Yes, right here. In 1983's Nasty Nurses, this one right here. There it is. Nasty Nurses, and that's from 1983 from Paul Vitelli. And this is Peakorama Big 2 Unit Show right there. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like 1983's Nasty Nurses. Thank you so much, and good night.